In this video, I'll be going over how to speedrun Breath of the Wild. There have been a lot of changes to the any% route recently, so I'm hoping this will be a useful resource for people who want to learn it. This is not meant to be a full tutorial, and will not go into as much detail on setups as a full tutorial would. That being said, I will be linking other useful resources in the description, and will show some of my visual cues on screen as they happen. I will be showing the Amiibo route since it's the more popular version of the category, but if there's enough interest, I can make one for the no Amiibo route as well. This video is meant to showcase how fast you can go using all of the easy strats, as I've seen a lot of runners focusing too much on practicing faster, less consistent strats that don't save that much time. Generally, the more tricks you add, the fewer runs you will finish, and the more frustrating the run will be. I recommend adding in faster strats one at a time, so that you can more effectively practice and perfect them. Some things to note before you start. Any % is fastest in French, so you'll want to switch your system's language setting to French. The timer actually doesn't start until you gain control of Link due to loading inconsistencies. Most people put their timer on -1.2 or -1.5 and then start it when the screen fades to black after skipping the first cutscene. The first trick in the run is SOR clip, which requires a fairly precise setup for Link's facing and camera angles. A good rule of thumb for any setup is to take your time and do it right, because a first try clip is going to be faster than a second try clip. From my experience, Link's facing angle is more precise than the camera angle for the any% scope clips, so make sure Link's angle is correct before spamming scope. Once you've clipped out, climb up the slope, making sure not to lose all your stamina. At the top, crouch and then uncrouch when you are standing at the right spot to clip back in bounds. This spot is marked by a black dot that gets shown in LimCube's tutorial, so I'll link that in the description. As you run down the hill, you want all the Bokos to notice your whistling as soon as possible, so their movement pattern is consistent and allows you to grab the shield and spear. When you're starting out, pick up the peppers for backup food. Skipping backup food only saves around 2 seconds and should only be done when you're confident you won't need them later. Once you've grabbed the shield and spear, do a shield surf and you'll end up in a cutscene. Coming up, we have the Temple of Time clip. For the most part, this clip is pretty lenient, but don't rush it. After clipping, we have the first BLSS in the run. After grabbing the bow and arrows, you'll want to do a neutral shield jump and unequip shield. We'll be reusing the skew from the Temple of Time, and this makes the next clip a lot more lenient. For the step up, you want to bow aim towards the corner at a slight angle, and then jump towards it rolling your thumb from X to B to start the slide. For maximum acceleration, focus on getting a consistent wiggle while making sure to flick straight across through neutral. Turning is basically just being able to build speed quickly with the camera turned in the direction you want to go, so it's really important that you practice building speed first. Cancel the BLSS and do a fall damage cancel. Bombs clip is very lenient, so just make sure your angle and position aren't horribly off. The elevator clip requires an instant shield jump, so make sure you're doing that. Inside bombs, you can do a wind bomb to a BLSS that will take you to the end of the shrine. Since you're taking half a heart of cold damage at the start, you have to make sure not to land on the lower level. You don't have to do the BLSS, but it saves a few seconds over dropping down and blowing up the rocks. Do a shield jump unequipped before the wind bomb. This is called a quick fix and will let you wind bomb first try since it temporarily gets rid of glitched ragdoll state. If you're tempted to go for gamer wind bomb, remember it only saves around 6 seconds and will be losing you time if you miss it. Not to mention, it's a trick even top runners struggle with because of how precise it is. Since bombs is the first split, it's really important that you continue runs, since it's very easy to get stuck resetting here over trivial mistakes. Also remember to wait to skip the monk cutscene until the text fully disappears. Skipping it immediately results in a significantly longer load. This saves around 5 seconds per shrine, so over the course of the run, it adds up to about 20 seconds overall. Here we talk to the old man and choose the dialogue options 2112. There isn't much else to do, but make sure to pre-turn the camera towards the wall so that you're ready when the dialogue ends. Another general tip is to look for places you can pre-turn your camera to make your setups faster. Be sliding over to Mag, but something to note about setting up the BLSS smuggle state. If you hold ZL before the jump, it makes it more lenient on when you can press B and pause without dropping the bomb. Otherwise, you need to wait for Link to reach the apex of his jump before you can press B and pause without dropping it. Another thing to note is that I do a shield jump on my way to the wall. This was to clear the Temple of Time skew, as we'll be setting skew again on the Magnesis shrine. Coming up, we have Mag Clip. The skew we use here can be reused for Stasis Clip, so I'd recommend looking at the video I'll be linking on how to do Mag Clip. The elevator clip can be especially finicky if you're trying to go fast, but if you take your time and position Link properly, it's a pretty reliable clip. When you enter a shrine, you can instantly run by holding ZL, and letting go of ZL, and starting to hold B when you feel the rumble after skipping the elevator cutscene. If you don't have rumble, I'm not sure what the cue is. This is a super small optimization, but it's easy, so there's no harm in trying it. Inside of Magnesis, there are a few different wind bomb setups that work after you've gone through the underpass. However, there's nothing more consistent than running through the shrine, and the best wind bomb only saves around 7 seconds, so you're better off practicing other parts of the run. Whenever you're running, make sure to follow as straight a line as possible, and make sure to be mindful of your stamina usage. While Breath of the Wild isn't as much of a movement-based speedrun as other games, taking good lines can save you seconds throughout the run. As you run through the shrine, you'll be targeted by the Guardian Scout. Just make sure not to get hit by it by running diagonally left or right as the Guardian is about to shoot you. Shield jump across the last gap, make sure to unequip the shield pretty early so that you don't lose skew. Then, before you interact with the monk, blow yourself up to clear glitched ragdoll state. Make sure you're at full hearts when you do this, otherwise you will die. This is the best spot to clear it because you will get the heart refill from completing the shrine. I won't go over what glitched ragdoll state is here, but it's the reason Link doesn't go flying when you blow yourself up. If you don't have enough hearts to blow yourself up, you can actually just do a quick fix before climbing the tree later on. The BLSS over to Stasis is tricky, but the key is to make sure you get a good initial angle going towards the hill. If you don't have enough speed, you won't be able to slide all the way up, but if you're good at building speed and you take care when setting up Link's angle at the start of the slide, it's not so bad. Once you've managed to slide up the hill, you still have to navigate the trees without hitting anything. My advice is to steer Link to avoid obstacles and worry less about building speed. With more practice, you'll be able to also build speed here, but it's more important that you don't hit anything. For Wind Bomb up to Stasis, you can just press X to jump once you're at the top of the tree without touching the left stick. For this Wind Bomb, you need to get max height, so wait 1/4 stamina before placing the square bomb and then detonate circle immediately. Also look up or down to avoid lag. Stasis clip with mag skew is also lenient, so just play around with the cues a bit. For positioning and angle, I'm basing it off of the setup that Limcube goes over in his any% tutorials if you want a more precise explanation. Inside of Stasis, there are a couple of options, but you're able to mostly just run through the shrine. There are multiple wind bomb setups that save a varying amount of time, but the fastest consistent one saves around 10 seconds, so it's not crucial. There isn't really too much else going on in Stasis. It's really just taking good lines and knowing when to stasis and unstasis the cog and boulder. There's a shield jump at the end, which can be a bit tough when you first start, but it becomes fairly simple once you are comfortable having Link run in a straight line. Another small optimization here is animation cancelling the use of stasis. By pressing either R or Y after using stasis, Link will cancel the rune animation by pulling out the spear. This allows you to start sprinting again immediately, which saves a few frames. Again, this is not super important, but looks pretty cool and isn't very difficult and carries basically no risk. Risk is a big factor in why I recommend not going for certain wind bombs and shrines when you don't have to. If you aren't consistent with wind bombs, you will lose a lot of time. Safer strats keep runs going. To get to Cryo, you can either choose to do the BTB or the BLSS. BTBs are no longer necessary in any percent, but they do have their uses in other categories, so it's not a bad idea to learn how they work now if you plan on moving on to a longer category. However, BTBs require precise setups that take a lot of practice to get consistent, so I'd recommend learning the BLSS since it's just as fast once you get good at it. For Boulder Ride, you can do a range from 7 to 10 hits, but if you do 10 hits, you'll need to do a fall damage cancel. For the BLSS, make sure to throw the square bomb fairly precisely, so that you're able to both move the boulder out of the way and knock the tree over at the same time. To get the step up on the tree stump, walk towards it from the right side, since the snow actually makes it lower on the right side. For this BLSS, you have to curve it to get to Cryo. If you end up building up enough speed, you'll actually reset the cold timer, giving yourself ample time to get the clip into the shrine without having to eat. If you picked up the peppers, those will help a lot here when you're first starting out. I don't recommend going for the ESC until you've actually understood the cues for normal clip. Go watch Song's tutorial because it's great, and using the cues he describes, you should be able to clip in 100% of the time. So if you're more consistent with ESC, it's because you aren't using the proper cues for normal clip. Inside the shrine, it's a fairly simple wind bomb to get from the start to the end. Make sure to quick fix before you attempt it, but otherwise, just follow the setup shown here and you should land up top. There are ways to get Link to bounce off the wall and land closer to the monk, but sometimes Link's ragdoll bouncing off the wall isn't perfectly consistent. I'd recommend delaying square placement a tiny bit so that Link will always land up top. Something I didn't have time to mention was another shield jump I did before starting the BLSS over to Cryo. This was once again to clear skew so that I could set skew on Cryonis, since trying to set skew when you already have it will not work. Paraglider is the shortest split in the run, and unlike the previous plateau route, it's actually really simple. After mashing through the old man's dialogue, take a step back before setting up the BLSS so the bomb doesn't roll forwards. There are a couple of spots where you can start the slide from, but the one I do gets a pretty good initial angle consistently. Just make sure to nudge Link right up against the rock and aim almost perpendicular to it. Hold ZL, start holding B, and jump towards the rock. This should start the slide and should give some speed toward the Temple of Time. Now just slide over until you are over the roof and do a fall damage cancel to land. I recommend pointing the camera down to make it easier to gauge when you're actually over the roof. I throw the spear here because we need to get rid of it before picking up the weapons in castle to skip the throwing weapons tutorial later. However, you just need to throw it before you pick up the last weapon in castle. And with that, plateau is completed. There were a lot of strats that saved time that I didn't do, but I still managed to get a 1346, which is quite fast. You can't expect to get a 13 plateau without a lot of practice, but practicing the right things makes the process a lot smoother and quicker. To start off Castle, we'll be scanning amiibos. You need 7 points of attack up, where Mighty Porgies give 3 points and Mighty Carps give 2 points. There's also a Razor Shroom in a box in Castle that gives 2 points, so just scan until you have enough fish to add up to at least 5 points before setting up the slide to Castle. You will also want to pick up Hyrule Bass, as they can serve as fillers to add time to your attack up meal and can be used as backup food. This slide is unique in any percent because it's long enough that you really have to worry about running into the speed cap. If you build up too much speed, Link will suddenly stop, so you need to make sure to stop wiggling periodically to avoid going too fast. There are multiple ways of recognizing the speed cap, like looking at the minimap and seeing how far off center Link is, or looking at the bomb strobing effect. If the strobing effect looks like it has stopped moving, it means you're pretty close to the cap. Just steer towards the gate and you'll be fine. This gate can be loaded or unloaded. I'll be linking the backups for loaded gate, but will not be showing it during this run. When you enter, things likely won't be loaded in. You can wait for them to load in before jumping down and gliding towards the moblin. Make sure to face your camera left so that the Lizalfos aren't in view. This helps to keep them from noticing you. Walk slowly here. If you move the stick too far forwards, you'll alert the moblin. I'd recommend not going for the sneak strike until after the cutscene is played. Grab the Razor Shroom if you need it, then throw sprint up the stairs so that you don't alert the Lizalfos. I recommend grabbing the Nadra Fang in the chest under the stairs if you aren't as comfortable with the boss rush, since you'll get a longer attack up timer if you cook with it. Run up the stairs and throw the bomb in the corner, making sure Link is out of the Lizalfos' field of view. Here I'll be showing the 6 Ancient Arrow route. This only loses about 20 seconds to the out of bounds route and is a lot easier both in the movement in Castle as well as the Calamity fight. Run down the hallway and jump into the corner so that you only have to do one jump before you can clear the Malice. Alternatively, you can shoot the eyeball on the far side of the Malice to get rid of it, which loses a few seconds. You should have enough arrows here to shoot this Malice eye as you run towards the chest, but if you have fewer than 3 arrows, just bomb it instead. You can pick up this shield or the shield from the Lizalfos as a backup, although there is also an extra shield in the room with Calamity. This is a max height wind bomb, so make sure to delay your square. When you land, the moblin probably won't be loaded in. Wait for it to load in and shoot fairly far right to distract it. Glide down, and when the moblin is looking around, land and go for the sneak strike. The arrow prompt will take priority over the sneak strike prompt, so don't worry if you can't see it. If you're close enough, you will be able to sneak strike. Also, if you physically touch the moblin before the sneak strike, it will alert it, so don't get too close. At this point, we want to have at least 7 arrows, so that Blights goes smoothly. So if you're one short, you can break the pots in the corner and grab the one that spawns there. From here, you want to once again do a max height wind bomb, look up or down to not get lag stopped. You can wind bomb from the other side of the bridge, which makes it more lenient since you don't even need to clear the roof. For Wind Blight skip, I'd recommend learning Demon setup, which is the one I'm using in this video. I'll link something in the description that goes over how to do it. The boss rush is probably the hardest part of the run to learn, because you have to get everything right in one go or you restart. It takes time, but this becomes really consistent once you've figured out how to do it. After Wind Blight dies, we'll be starting Water Blight. Walk forward slightly and get 2 hits in with the Edge of Duality. Make sure not to enter the inner circle texture on the ground so that Water Blight gives you the lunge attack. Now just position yourself in between the arm and the body and spin until the phase is ended. switch to the Royal Claymore and headshot Water Blight twice. If it goes towards the throne, make sure to position yourself such that the second headshot will launch Water Blight away from the throne, otherwise it gets stuck up there. Then do 3 spin hits and then slam with the Claymore. You can get a headshot here as Water Blight gets up, but the timing is fairly tight, so you can just get the headshot after knocking Water Blight down again with 2 more headshots. For Fire Blight Phase 1, immediately walk forward and start a spin attack. Get 3 hits and then slam. Switch to the Royal Guard's Claymore, and here you can either do 3 or 4 spin hits before slamming. If you get 4, the slam will end the phase. But you have to be really conscious of your stamina, so you could also just do 3 spin hits and then end it with a jump attack. For Phase 2, place a bomb in the center of the room and then go stand in between Fire Blight and the bomb. Blow up the bomb when it's behind Fire Blight and either do 3 hits or 2 hits and a throw with the boomerang. Switch to the Royal Claymore and go for double hits, targeting Fire Blight as it starts to get up for the best chance of getting them. Immediately run towards Thunderblight and do 2 swings to break its shield. Jump cancel the second swing so that you can immediately go for double hits while Thunderblight is stunned. After the slam, go for some more hits and then finish the phase by throwing the Claymore. If you miss some hits with the Claymore or it broke early, you can just throw the boomerang until the phase ends. Thunderblight is on a cycle from when you first break its shield, so if you messed up first phase, the second phase might be weird. After you hear the 4th pillar fall, you can throw the boomerang and break Thunderblight's shield. If you don't have enough arrows here, you can just throw the boomerang again to knock Thunderblight down. If you did everything right, getting 4 hits with the boomerang should end up breaking Thunderblight's shield as soon as it respawns. This lets you spin to win with the Edge of Duality and move on to Calamity. At the start of Calamity, fire off 6 ancient arrows. After the first one, Calamity's head should be in the same spot, so getting the rest of the headshots should be pretty easy. After this, you can either do a flurry rush or run straight to the bomb arrows. Doing the boomerang flurry rush makes the number of bomb arrow headshots a lot more lenient, so I'd recommend doing it when you're starting out. When heading over to the bomb arrows, make sure you get as far away as possible as quickly as possible so that you force Calamity to shoot a laser. This will make Calamity's movement a lot more predictable. Fire off bomb arrows while moving towards the Royal Claymore. Once you pick up the Claymore, you need to parry the next laser. Then once you've parried the laser, it's just 6 hits with the Royal Guard's Claymore and then a slam. If this doesn't end the phase, throw the Claymore at Calamity, and if that doesn't end the phase, you can use the boomerang for the last few hits. If you did the first phase well, Calamity will either give you a laser or attack you and then give you a laser right after. If you get the laser, parry it and start the stun lock. If you don't, wait for Calamity to start attacking you, and then quickly run to the edge of the room so that Calamity will be forced to give you a laser. Then just parry it and start the stun lock. You'll want to do 2 hits with the Edge of Duality, and then spin until Calamity's spear arm goes into the ground. Throw the Edge of Duality, and then continue to spin with the Royal Claymore until you finished off Calamity. This section is all about managing your stamina and making sure to slam after the spear goes into the ground. Keep that up, and this part is fairly easy. Just remember to always keep at least 3/4 stamina before starting to spin. The end is mostly just an auto-scroller, but it's still important to learn how to manipulate Dark Beast so that you don't end up losing a PB to something silly. The only real time to save here is from learning the timings for when the weak points appear so that you can pre-fire arrows. I went over the audio cues I use in my 2456 analysis video, so I'll link the timestamp to that either on screen or down in the description. These only save a few seconds, but they're pretty easy, and there isn't much else to do in Dark Beast anyway. One last thing I'll mention is that horse controls don't change based on the camera angle, so moving the left stick left will always make your horse turn to its left. This was fairly confusing for me when I was first playing, but once you realize that, the horse is very easy to control. If you've made it this far into the video, thanks for watching, and good luck on practicing the run. If you want me to make a no amiibo addendum to this video, comment down below, and if there's enough interest, I'll do just that. I plan on making more informational content on Breath of the Wild speedrunning, so subscribe if you want notifications for when new videos come out, and check out my Twitch for live PB attempts at twitch.tv/player5. Other than that, I don't really have much else to say, so I'll just let the rest of the run play out.
Je me charge de son aura. Tu y es presque. Encore un peu. Link, regarde, sur sa tête. Maintenant, Link.
Oh hey, a 2540. Not too shabby.